Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are going to get started. This is Sarah Gogora, Director of Partnership Development with the State Workforce Board, and I also have with me James Martini, Director, and Michelle Lengel. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Next Gen Industry Partnership PAsmart grant opportunity that opened last week. We have a few minutes of information that we will share with you, and then we're going to open up to some questions and answers. Throughout the presentation, feel free to submit any questions you may have in the chat feature on Zoom, and then we will address them at the end. Also, the slides and possibly the recording should be posted to the L&I website where you found the NGA either by tomorrow or early next week. Okay, so first, a little background on PAsmart. PAsmart is a strategic approach to education and workforce development. It's now in its second year and is focused on investing in initiatives to support economic growth and education and training opportunities, focused on strategic coordination and alignment of public programs, services, and funding, and focused on transforming interagency cross-sector collaboration, and additionally, working to achieve better outcomes for PA students, workers, businesses, and communities. Last year, Governor Wolf secured $30 million for PAsmart and then another $40 million this year to help support schools, students, workers, and businesses across the state. There are three different PAsmart grant opportunities, one of them being a $20 million computer science and STEM grant through the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Another grant opportunity is a $6.6 million apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship opportunity through labor and industry, as well as this grant, the $4.6 million Next Gen grant through labor and industry as well. If you'd like any more information on PAsmart, including the framework, principles, and funding priorities, you can take a look at the PAsmart.gov website listed here. And to see the various L&I PAsmart grant opportunities, you can visit the Labor and Industry Grant website listed here as well. So what exactly is Next Gen? Next Generation Industry Partnerships are partnerships of businesses from the same industry and in the shared labor market region who work with education, workforce development, economic development, and community organizations to address competitiveness needs of targeted industry. Instead of focusing on serving businesses' needs based around public programs, Next Gen sector partnerships put businesses at the center of a coordinated workforce and economic development system that reacts to businesses' defined opportunities and priorities. So, put simply, business is at the center of the table, identifying business-driven priorities. Partnerships benefit workers, students, and the broader community. So there are three goals of the Next Gen PAsmart Industry Partnership Grants. The first goal is to improve the coordination and alignment of economic development, education, and workforce development programs, services, and funding to better engage businesses in key industries. The second goal of the program is to address the workforce and economic development needs of Pennsylvania industries through strategies that address economies of scale and demand-driven continuous improvements. And finally, the third goal of these grants is to increase the number of Next Gen IPs at the local, regional, and state level, representing key targeted industry sectors. So some details on the grant. There is $4.6 million available, with a maximum of $250,000 per partnership. The applications will be due Friday, January 3rd. Partnerships are required to align with the PAsmart framework principles and funding priorities that, as I mentioned, they can be found on the PAsmart.gov website. Additionally, applicants must adhere to the Next Gen IP model. This model is attached to the NGA and can be found as Appendix A. So the framework of the grant this year is a bit different than it has been in previous years. Previously, there were two different grants for Next Gen partnerships, a convening and an implementation grant. This year, there will be just one grant, and that is to fund both convening and implementation activities. And you'll also want to note that convening activities are capped at $45,000 per partnership. Partnerships that have previously received PAsmart Next Gen funds can use these funds to support convening and implementation activities, but you are not required to use these for convening activities if you do not wish. Partnerships that have not received PAsmart Next Gen funds will only be able to apply for funds to support convening activities unless they can clearly demonstrate that business-driven priorities have been identified and an action plan has been developed. If your partnership has yet to do so, you unfortunately can only apply to fund convening activities. So a little bit about the different allowable activities. Grant activities will vary based on the partnership status. New partnerships that have yet to launch or identify business-driven priorities can use these funds to support convening activities. Grant funds may be used to support both pre-launch and post-launch activities, including but not limited to facilitating next-gen partnership meetings, attending state-sponsored next-gen IP training or events, engaging business champions and business partners, working with businesses to determine the partnership priorities, developing a post-launch and action plan, and maintaining partnership post-launch. Partnerships that have already launched and or identified business-driven priorities and developed an action plan can use the funds to support both convening and implementation activities, as I previously mentioned. These funds can be used to support training, so they can help fund incumbent worker training, work-based learning and work experiences, registered apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship opportunities. Implementation activities may also include things such as aligning curriculum with business needs, providing career awareness, coordinating outreach of the region and the industry, and supporting business-to-business networking. And please note, these are just some examples of allowable activities. Not everything has been included here. So when you're putting your grants together, some budget items to consider. There is a template that we are requiring applicants to use. That template can be found on the LNI website along with the NGA. Also, we are requiring a detailed budget narrative that aligns with that budget form to be submitted, and that can be submitted through the application form. Also, there is a 10% max for administrative costs, and then a 100% total match is required, with at least 25% of that being a private sector cash match. So you could have a 75% in-kind match and 25% private sector cash match. When putting your application together, we are requiring a few documents. We are requiring the completed application form, the budget form that I just mentioned, a partnership membership form, and then a training plan. And please note, the training plan is only required if the funds from this grant are going to directly support training. If not, we do not need this form. And once again, all of these forms can be found along on the website with the NGA. And then finally, we are requiring 3 letters of support, one from an economic development partner, one from an education partner, and one from the Workforce Development Board. So as mentioned, applications will be due Friday, January 3rd by 11:59 p.m. And we are having the final application be submitted to the Industry Partnership Resource account, which is listed here. And if there are any other questions about the grant, you can send them to that resource account as well. And we will be creating an FAQ page with any questions from the webinars or any other common questions we get that will be posted to the website. So now I think we're ready to go into questions. Does anyone have any questions on the phone or either through chat?
Hi, this is Pam Strike from Workforce Solutions, North Central PA.
Hi, Pam.
How are you?
I'm good.
Quick question. For anything related to a paid work experience, would we use the training form or list it on the budget itself? It's work-based training, but it's not incumbent worker training.
Yeah, we would say put it on the training budget.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions out there? We got a question through the chat asking if there's any way for an extension. We are looking into that as an option. If there is an extension, we will put that on the website and let you guys all know. Do we have any other questions? As mentioned earlier, we will have a recording of the webinar that we will post. We will have a recording of the webinar along with the slides that will be on the website. And if you have any other questions, you can also send it to the resource account. And it looks like we just got a question in. I'm asking what defines the common industry.
This is James. We can, on the FAQ document, we'll put a link up to the Commonwealth has defined industry clusters on there. And that should, I'll put that as that should be a guide as to what groups of industries we have available. We've always allowed local discretion on targeting their own, your own clusters or defining them if you want to. If you do go that route and you want to group companies together that for whatever reason might fall out, just explain the rationale for doing so. If you can show common linkages, the way that we defined industry clusters are based on supply chains, shared business activities, and so on and so forth. But if you take a look at that list and there's, it doesn't quite fit, just explain why the businesses that you want to have participate in the partnership or the industries fit together for those reasons.
Any other questions? Okay, well, so if we don't have any other questions, then like I said, if you think of any as you're working on your grant application, please feel free to contact our resource account and check the LNI website frequently for any updated FAQs. Thank you all for joining today, and we look forward to some very exciting applications. Oh, also, we just got one last question. What is the timeline for announcement of awards? We do not have a definitive timeline right now, especially with exploring extending the date. So we will let you know as soon as we do. All right, thank you everyone once again.